Everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reviewing the first LEGO DC set that's non-Batman's in 2020. Given set number 76302, this is the Superman Mech vs. Lex Luthor with 120 pieces, retailing for $13.99, ages 6+, with Superman and Lex Luthor, both exclusive figures, which I'm really excited for. Here's a look at the back of the box. Let's crack this bad boy open. Using the anti-thumb tab technique, you can just slide right over it, which stops you from ruining the box, which I do quite like. It is a little bit tricky. Try not to cut the box like I did here. Opening the set on up, you will find some bags. There is one tiny bag and another tiny bag, and a place to hold the cape, and an instruction booklet, and a QR code for free LEGO points on LEGO.com. First, taking a look at Superman, which I overall do think is a good figure. You can see the details from his head down to his torso and his blank blue legs. I find it a problem that he doesn't have underwear because there are red straps holding in the belt, which should be part of his underwear. Overall, the figure looks very nice. Here is a look at the back of the head with the laser eyes expression. And you can pop the hair back on and get a look at that. Here is a look of under the cape, and you can see some more printing, which does look overall very nice. My biggest problem with the figure is the cape and the lack of rubber cape, because this cape just does not work here. You can see how it is just hanging off, and the rubber cape does look a lot better. And you can see the front of that and how it looks. Unfortunately, it won't really fit in the mech. Here's a look at the one-hold cape. And next figure we're going to take a look at is Lex Luthor. He is given a piece of kryptonite and a gun that, of course, can shoot, although it is very hard to hit Superman. First try. Another cool thing that isn't advertised is that you can actually take the kryptonite and attach it to the back, which I find very cool. The figure itself is fantastic. I just love all the detailing down from the torso to the legs. Personally, I find this figure to be the best Lex Luthor we've had. The blend of purple and green and darker green is fantastic. Here's a look without the shoulder piece, and I think the figure looks amazing. Here's a look at the back printing, which again looks fantastic. Finally, taking a look at the mech itself, I do think that this is a very good mech for what it is. Here's a view from the side, and it just looks pretty good. Here's a look from the back, and you can see there is some jetpacks instead of his cape, which I think is a very cool compromise. So the mech can actually fly, and you can move these up and down and adjust them as you'd like. Personally, one of my favorite parts about this mech is that you can take the Superman Lego off, and you can have Superman hold it. Here's a look at that. And he can throw it around like a batarang, which is also something he does in Superman 2. The top cape flaps are adjustable. I'm not sure why you'd want to do this, but you can. Detaching this, you can take a better look at the belt, which I am not a big fan of. You can see I just don't think the gold and the yellow look very good. And you can see it's the same problem with the minifigure, the red, which should not be there. It just doesn't make sense. Here's a look at the mech's legs, and I do think they look pretty darn good. Of course, the fingers are adjustable using the same pieces that all the other mechs have recently introduced in Ninjago. And of course, you can take Superman and you can put him in the mech, so you can fold this down. And it is pretty hard because of that cape, which they could have just used the rubber cape because you can just take that off really easy. But it looks pretty weird and is a tough fit. I personally prefer having it out, but it just doesn't look good either way, so I recommend taking it off, especially since he has that jetpack, which is sort of his cape. Overall, for $14 and 2 exclusive minifigures, I think this is a steal, especially with that mech build, which is pretty darn decent. Unfortunately, one of people's main gripes with this set is that, why does Superman have the mech instead of Lex Luthor? Now, I don't really understand that argument, because kryptonite weakens Superman and takes away his powers. So I think it is fitting that Superman has a mech because he doesn't have his powers, right? And that is something that also happens in the comics. But overall, I think this is a great set, great value. Definitely recommend picking this up. Alright, everyone, that's going to do it for this video. See you next time.
Lego, Lego, let's create and dream. Together we will build a wondrous thing. Piece by piece we will make magic, you will see. In our Lego world where we wild and free.